Okay, great. So look, I think we'll kick off now and people can join as they come in. So want to welcome you all and thanks very much for joining us for this information webinar. So it should last probably between 30 and 40 minutes. I'm joined here this evening by a number of people from the project team for the National Water Sports Campus. So from Dún Laoghaire Harbour, we have Tim Ryan and Peter Buckley. And then from Ready Architecture and Urbanism, we have Ali Alvey. And then from RO Architects, we have Anna Siwick. So basically, what we're here talking about this evening is the National Water Sports Campus. So it is a planned facility in Dún Laoghaire Harbour, designed to be a national hub for water sports. And how this evening will work. So I will hand over to Tim and Peter from Dún Laoghaire Harbour first to give an introduction to the project, its vision, its mission, and the background to how it's come about. And then where we are in the process. So we are currently at non-statutory public consultation, but there's been a whole process that's happened before this point, and then there'll be a whole process that happens after this point, and we'll get some insight into that. Then we'll pass to Anna to talk you through the concept designs that have been developed so far in consultation with stakeholders. And then once we've reached the end of those concept designs, we'll open it up for Q&A. So you're welcome, if you're going through as we're going through the presentation, you're welcome to leave comments in the chat with questions, but we will address them during the Q&A, and then we'll go to next steps. So how else can you engage with the non-statutory public consultation at this time? So I will pass over to Peter now from Dún Laoghaire Harbour to talk about the vision for the Water Sports Campus.
Actually me. Hi, sorry,
Oh,
Tim
sorry,
Ryan
Tim.
here. You're
Apologies.
no problem, Emily, no problem. So yes, this is a project we have been working on, myself and Peter, for a number of years. And the goal, I suppose, is, or the vision is, to serve as a centre for marine leisure. It's a number of things. It's a world-class event venue, a high-performance centre, and a home for national and governing bodies. So it's at all levels, I suppose, from the community all the way up to the high performance. The project itself involves multiple stakeholders. The main sponsors are Dún Laoghaire, Rathdown County Council, Irish Saving and Diving Ireland, but there are a number of stakeholders both throughout the whole harbour, but also a wider catchment than that as well. So if you move to the next slide. The mission is to create a central world-class hub for water sports in Ireland, akin to what some of the other sports have out in Abbottstown near Blanchetown. For example, football, rugby, a number of other sports have high performance centres there, and facilities for everybody who can book them and things. So the goal is to create that in Dún Laoghaire Harbour, and I say it's from community level, community participation, all the way up to high performance training, and also hosting major sailing and other water sports events. We set up some values when we started this project, and these are guiding us throughout it. And the first one, and it's a conscious decision to put this first, is all about inclusivity and accessibility, trying to make the harbour and water sports more inclusive and accessible for everybody. Community and collaboration, and again, that talks back to from the very community level all the way up to high performance, but also collaboration with the existing water sports providers in the harbour. So this is not all about new things. This is encompassing what we have already, growing it, and then adding some new additions as well. Sporting excellence, which speaks to the high performance elements. Safety, of course, anything on the water is dangerous, so we are instilling safety into everything that we do. Innovation and development, looking at how we can do things in a new and innovative way, and we're delighted to have the design team we have on board. They're looking at all kinds of different options. And national pride, again, this is the National Water Sports Campus, so we bear that in mind as we go through the whole project. So we have been doing this for a while. We were granted we were contracted in terms of a grant in summer, early 2025 maybe, to progress the project through design stage and to get planning and maritime consents. One of the first processes we undertook was to get the modern equivalent of a foreshore lease, which is a maritime area consent, a MAC. So in order to do that, we had to undergo some very targeted consultation with, I guess, neighbours and stakeholders around that area. So we did that. We submitted a MAC application in winter last year. And then while that was going through the process, we worked with a number of stakeholders, probably more end users and occupiers of the premises and things like that, to develop a brief and go through some concept development. We got our MAC in May this year, which is great. And now we're progressing through to some more design development. And this is the first of 2 consultations that we'll run in terms of this is the very early stage, draft design development. We then move on to preparing for the statutory application, which is a planning application on Comisiún Planola, and we'll do a further consultation later in the winter this year once we have those detailed designs ready to go for that. Then we lodge the planning application, and while we do that, we start working on the business case and funding application for the construction stage of the project. So it's a 2-phase project. It's the way this large-scale sports infrastructure fund is set up. Okay,
sorry, we can pass over to Anna from Arrow Architects now to talk through the concept designs.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Anna from Arrow Architects, Senior Architect. We've been involved in the concept design with Reddit Architecture and Urbanism for quite some time. So design concept, that was kind of one of the key question marks and a kind of key concept ideas was how to bring how to create identity for the campus. So rather than one individual building, what we are looking is a series of 8 interventions. So we're looking at 4 buildings and for access to the water, so slipways, pontoons, that are distributed along the Dunleary Harbour east to west. So what was really important for us from the start is how to bring this the water sports activities, and then also look at the context of the site that it's really unique. So we looked at the project as assembly or family of the buildings rather than individual kind of areas that respond to different conditions. And we looked at the water, wind, obviously the movement, and very important, the heritage environment of the site. Next one. So one of the first studies we've done just to understand materiality of Dunleary Harbour is this uniqueness of different spaces, different natures. So when you're looking from west to east, we have this beautiful we have the beautiful nature surrounding, and then we're looking towards maritime industrial aspects of the context, and then from the east side, the heritage that we found really important to pick up and reflect in the materiality or the way that we looked at the architectural expression. So if we looked at the next slide, we tried to use those 4 distinct character areas of the site and how we can correspond it or communicate it within the materials. So the selection of the slide, the next selection of the slides will present you how we interpret nature to bring this kind of warmness of the feeling, and then a corrugated still, this translucent materiality of the polycarbonate, and how to bring the kind of color code that can bring back from the heritage elements of the harbor and tie together the buildings. So now I'm gonna look through those different locations from looking from east to west. So starting with Carlisle Pier, we have 2 locations. Number 1 is the Carlisle Event Slipway. So it's a new slipway introduced on the east side of the Carlisle Pier. And on the west side of the Carlisle Pier, we're looking at the Carlisle Events Building. So the slipway is, as you see, it's parallel to the pier, and it's been designed in order to obviously facilitate access for the larger events and the regattas as well, and then for to facilitate the boat kind of communication and transport. Here are the key dimensions of the slipway. As you can see, there is also a thought around the gradient. We look at the sea levels as well as the kind of requirements of the stakeholders looking at the slipway. And here is a feel and look precedent how this slipway might look like. So we're looking at the precast elements in construction, so the piles, and then the precast beams and the screed on top. So again, very important to look at the durability and then a long-time maintenance of those elements, because obviously we have a kind of robust water conditions that has to be responded with enough kind of consideration in terms of constructability. Looking at the Carlisle Events Building site plan, so the building is proposed in the location of the old ferry ramp. So we are looking at to place it on the east side of the Carlisle Pier. And the building itself is dedicated to mainly events and kind of operations around the regatta and the sailing events, but it also allows for some office kind of usage throughout the year. So here is in a building overview. As you can see, there is a selection of different usage for the ground floor. So it's mainly dedicated to the events where the big events is happening. We have some race offices, jury rooms, media rooms. On the upper floor, there's board rooms as well of the safety management rooms and some office spaces. The top floor, which is very interesting, is partially open to the public. So as you can see, this kind of yellowish part of the terrace is accessible, and it's overviewing the harbor. So it will have an excellent view towards the water, where the south part of the roof would be dedicated to the PV solar panels. And here is a glimpse of some materials that we were interested to kind of look in terms of this building. So again, we're looking at some corrugated steel, some simple, robust materials, and but also to break it up with a kind of more translucent surface that will allow to bring the water kind of aspect to the building itself as well, but also not to interrupt the kind of the horizon of the water and the harbor. And as you can see, this is a proposed image of the Carlisle Events Building when standing on the Carlisle Pier itself. You can see the entrance further north of the building, so we kind of bring people further down along the pier. And there's a large double height staircase that goes all the way up to the rooftop. And we also bring this color palette of the reddish tone that we take the inspiration out of the East Pier lighthouse. So moving further east, we're looking at the old Coal Harbor, where we have 4 of the interventions of the campus itself. So number 3 is a high performance pontoon. And then in a Coal Harbor itself, we're looking at the water sports building, boat and maintenance building, and the public slipway that we're going to go through in a little bit more detail now. So the high performance pontoon is located in front of the marina. It serves obviously the purpose of getting the boats onto the water. It has this light weight fill, so it's a gangway with a floating platform. So here are some parameters to bring a context of the size for the pontoon, and a look and feel of the proposed pontoon. As you can see, it's a light well type of device. And now we're moving to water sports building. So this is a building that is located on the Old Quays. It is probably the largest building in terms of the campus. It's definitely occupied by most of the operators, so the different water stakeholders, schools, and operators are sits within this building. And it's, if we can move to the next one, it's divided into 3 quite distinctive elements. So looking from the southeast side, where you have this kind of salmon pink color, is where the proposed cafe located. The cafe is opening towards the Old Harbor. It's also double heights. On the upper floor, you have a large terrace, south facing, So nice place to sit around after water activities. In the middle part on the ground floor and the upper floor is operated. It's located operators' rooms, so the storage places, but also office spaces on the upper floors. On the ground floor, at the end of the pier, we have very efficient changing rooms, unisex, but also children areas for changing. And on the upper floor, we have a briefing room. What is important for this building is that we are proposing a viewing platform on the roof floor plan. So you have this beigey tone. This is where we're proposing the steps where you can sit down and look at the activities happening on the water from the building rooftop. So here are some examples of the precedents that we would have been investigating. So you can see we're looking at some corrugated steel. Again, the red tone color palette to bring this kind of coherent language to all the campus building, but also this transparency to bring light and water and this kind of water sports kind of building type of texture. And here is an image. If we're looking at the water sports building that sits on top of the old quays, it's such a kind of a frame with the usage within the frame, and on top we're looking at with the viewing platform again overseeing the water activities. Moving further down the Coal Harbour, we're looking at a boat and maintenance and training building. So the current location for the building is proposed where the boat yard is currently located. This is a proposed site plan. As you can see, this is a one building located quite far from existing parking, with a possibility of allocating another module, another building next to it. So we have enough space to have both of them. And then this building is really about storing the sailing club boats and rowing boats on the ground floor, hence the double height space at the front of the building. And on the upper floor of the building, we have a gym and the changing spaces as well as the training rooms. And again, feel and look precedents of the building. So we're looking at more shed, more industrial feel to this building. It's all about robustness, about storing the water sports equipment, but also potentially providing some kind of semi-indoor outdoor spaces with a coverage to provide some works or maintenance of the boats. And here's an example of how this building might look like. We're looking at very simple shape that is going to follow the function of the building, double height space with the color kind of theme that appears in the other buildings as well. And the Coal Harbour Public Swipway is the next one. So located on the east north side of the old quays. We're looking at two slipways and proposed area of land reclamation to extend area and to ease up the access to the slipways. Again, slipways are fairly generous size. There's one for the boats, one for the pedestrians, and obviously the gradient of those slipways has been coordinated with the current level of the water. In terms of the feel and look, it's very much or pretty much the same as the Carlisle Pier slipway. So we're looking at the precast elements to provide this robustness, longevity, and the kind of similar language to the other one. So we're finishing with the gut area further west, where we have two locations or two interventions. Number 7 is the gut building, dedicated to the water sports and kind of accompanying gut slipway. So starting from the gut building is located along the dart line on a kind of parallel orientation, is very much overlooking the Dublin Bay. So it's all about the views towards the water and also easy access. So the gut building is to locate water sports activities, so windsurfing, kite surfing, wing float probably. So the easy access was one of the keys when we were looking at the building. Again, we were trying to use a modularity from the other typology of spaces that we use in the different buildings. So it has the same kind of module of the changing areas as per the other buildings. It also has 2 separate receptions, again, overlooking the water, and the storage space on the sides. The upper floor is, again, accessible terrace, so the people can walk there and sit and look up what is going on the water. And also there are some briefing room trainings as well as the plant rooms located. And here is a feel and look and precedence. You can see we're trying to get a little bit warmer feeling. So it's a bit less of the corrugated, still more of the timber feel that we want to introduce. Again, we're very much kind of interested in bringing this translucent feel to bring nature, to bring this kind of unique environment into the play of the facades. So we're looking at the materials that are going to reflect that. And here is a glimpse or CGI that represents the language that we are proposing for the gut building, where the water sports will be located. So as you can see, it is similar to the Old Harbour or Quays building, trying to make it similar, but obviously contextual in terms of where it sits. And we're finishing with the gut slipway. So it is the one that it's sits in front of the gut water sports building as a kind of a tip of the gut. Here are the key parameters of the ramp itself, of the slipway itself. Again, we look at the gradient, so it is sufficient to access with the surfboards, with the windsurfing boards, and it's a different construction to the Old Harbour and to Carlisle Pier, because we're looking at precast elements all the way through. It's a little bit different feel and look. Okay, and I think that's where we finished with the concept.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. So there's been a lot to take in there, obviously, and a lot of different kind of drawings and positions and locations and look and feels. But hopefully you've got a good sense of the kind of initial planning for the water sports campus. Feel free to add any questions to the chat. There's a couple that we might address now, and we'll wait to see if anybody else has anything else they want to ask. And then I'll just give you a little bit more information on what's happening next with the public consultation. And if you have any further questions or observations, how you can submit those. We've seen asked is whether or not there will be a confined water area for scuba training. And Tim, I might see if you want to answer on that one.
Yes, there are land-based elements of that in this proposal, but I suppose that is contained within the master plan itself in 2 ways. There's a floating pontoon which could double as a dive school with its own enclosed water space for that, and then there is the larger floating swimming pool at the St. Michael's Pier at the bottom of Marine Road. So both of those have the capacity to do that for diving, but in this project itself, it's not part of this project, but we would definitely see it come in the future as part of the master plan, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And I suppose important to note that if maybe some people on the webinar were involved in responding to the Harbour Master Plan, I think hopefully this presentation should have given you a good understanding of what parts the Water Sports Campus is proposing in terms of what's relevant to the Harbour Master Plan. I saw that there was a hand raised there. I'm not sure whether, I think it was Susan, did you want to put a message into the chat? If so, feel free and we'd be happy to answer it. Something else that we'd gotten through just in terms of responses that we've seen online to the public consultation so far. Somebody asked about putting in a stand-up paddleboard pump so that the general public could potentially pump their stand-up paddleboards. And I thought maybe you might be able to give us an answer to that, Tim. I know that's more of a harbour question, but
Yeah, it's actually a very good idea, not one that I thought of. So yeah, we'll try and do that. We'll probably do that in advance of this project because it's a relatively small piece of infrastructure. So myself and Peter will take that away and look at it. I guess it'll be similar in a way to the bicycle pump stations that we put in, the council have put in around the county. So I'd imagine it could be done maybe with a larger pump or something, but yeah, we'll certainly take that away. Yeah.
That's great. And I suppose that's very useful because it just shows that this is the benefit of engaging with these types of processes. If you have a good idea and it's something that can be incorporated, it's definitely something that we will look at. I want to just check, does anybody else want to put a question into the chat at this juncture? I'll give another kind of few seconds for anybody to add anything that they want to have answered here today. Okay, well, look, if everybody's kind of content with that, I'll just go on to the next steps then. So hold on one second. So currently, just to give you a sense of what's been happening with the engagement activities, and I suppose actually something that I should have said at the beginning. So my name is Emily and I'm from an organization called MCO, and we've been working with the team here to do engagement with a range of different stakeholders in relation to this project. So we're running this kind of public consultation period. So in June, we met with a number of internal stakeholders to Dún Laoghaire Rathdown County Council, but we also held a number of workshops with people that are running water sports businesses currently down in the harbour to understand what their needs might be and to show them some of the initial concept designs that we've shown you here tonight. So now we're in the first round of public consultation, and that's to understand the public's hopes and concerns for the National Water Sports Campus. And so the activities, this one obviously that you're present for now, and the recording will be made available afterwards. Tomorrow we are hosting a drop-in event in County Hall, which is on Marine Road in Dún Laoghaire. And we'll just drop the location into the chat there in case anybody would like to drop in. We'll be there from 4 p.m. until 7 p.m. and some of the team here tonight will also be present for that. And there we basically have a number of exhibition boards that show the various elements of the campus and give you more detail on them. And you're welcome to come and view those and have a chat and ask any questions of the design team that you'd like. There's no booking required. You can join at any point. And then there are also there's the opportunity to respond to an online survey, which is hosted on Dún Laoghaire Rathdown County Council's Citizen Space portal, which is where all their public consultation information is hosted. And we'll just drop that information into the chat as well in case you want to go ahead and make a submission if you haven't already. But just to be clear that this won't be your only chance to have feedback or have your say on this project. So in about October or November of this year, once the consultation feedback has been collated and relayed to the design team after July of this year, there will be like further designs created in advance of the planning permission application, which Tim referenced earlier. So ahead of that, we'll be doing a second round of public consultation. This will have the proposed final planning scheme in advance of submitting it to An Comisiún Pleanála. And we'll be doing similar activities at that point. So the designs will be on show in a public drop-in. We'll hold another information webinar. There'll be the chance to ask questions on that. And then we will also be doing stakeholder meetings with other people that have been part of the process so far to show them how the designs have moved forward. So there will be another opportunity, but in the meantime, if this is something that you're passionate about and you want to, tell us more about what your hopes and concerns are for the campus, we very much suggest that you make an online submission. All of them are read and all of them are collated into the final report. I noticed that somebody has just joined, so I just wanted to check that there isn't anybody else that wants to ask a question before we finish. The webinar chat is still open, and Africa's has dropped in the link to make your submission or for you to drop in. And the one other thing that I might just note is that in the last couple of weeks we put live the National Water Sports Campus website, which is available at www.nwsc.ie. And actually, I might just share it very briefly here. And Africa has dropped it into the chat also. So just to give you a sense of what it looks like. So here is actually like a full directory of the water sports that are available in Dún Laoghaire Harbour at the moment. It also gives you an opportunity to look at what the future plans for the campus will be. And, you know, there's a button where you can go to submit your online survey if you want to do that. But if you're looking to begin engaging with water sports now, this is a really great place to start. And it gives you kind of beginners information on all the water sports available and who is providing them. So we're very proud of that, and we're looking forward to having more people use it day to day now. Tim or Ali, is there anything that you'd like to say before we finish?
I'll just say we're open to everything that people want to tell us. So do give us feedback. As you saw from a couple of the comments there, there's often things we just haven't thought of. So we're totally open to listen to everything. So please do engage with the process, whether you want to drop in and talk to us in person or submit online. Quite happy to take either. So thank you for joining us this evening.
Great. Okay, thank you so much for joining us and for taking time out of your evening. And we look forward to hearing from you. Yeah.